And then they have cans of soup. And they throw the cans of soup. That's better than a brick because you can't throw a brick, it's too heavy. But a can of soup, you can really put some power into that, right? And then when they get caught, they say, no, this is soup for my family. They're so innocent. This is soup for my family. It's incredible. And you have people coming over with bags of soup, big bags of soup, and they lay it on the ground, and the anarchists take it and they start throwing it at our cops, at our police. And if it hits you, that's worse than a brick because it's got force. It's the perfect size. It's like made perfect. And when they get caught, they say, no, this is just soup for my family. And then the media says, this is just soup. These people are very, very innocent. They're innocent people.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go. But I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
Yeah. Running against the worst candidate in the history of presidential politics puts pressure on me. Can you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know. $7 million for reef fish management, $25 million to combat Asian carp, $2.5 million to count the number of amberjack fish in the Gulf of Mexico.
Hang on. Testing. So, real quick, I don't know if there's like a problem with my PC. This is not a bit, but like it's like super slow this morning. Like I can't like loading a single web page.
$7 million for reef fish management.
There you go. Yeah, so let me, like, if there's any stream quality issues, let me know. I'm not sure what exactly or why exactly. This is not a bit. I swear to God, this is not a bit. I'm not even joking. I mean, I'm not, this isn't, like, normally I would, whoa, normally this would be. Right? But I'm not. Like, I don't know. Anyway, that's the show. I'll drink some coffee. I haven't had my coffee yet today. Yeah, I don't, like, for whatever reason, my computer's just slow as fuck this morning. Like loading, like, songs for the intro, like, that was an issue. I don't know. It's probably nothing. I haven't had my coffee yet today, so I'm probably just, like, freaking out because I'm insane and I have a disorder of the mind. But in other news, I have gained some word that it is, in fact, the weekend? Yeah! I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules. I just repeat the rules. I just let you know the rules. I don't make them. I don't make these rules. I don't want these rules. But here they are. Is my resource usage high? Maybe there's a memory leak. I checked that. It doesn't look like it. I don't know. Maybe. There's nothing, like, as far as all that, there's nothing out of the ordinary. So, but everything seems fine now. Let me take this off. Yeah, this is cool. All right, y'all. So I'm drinking some coffee here. I apologize if I'm slow. But I've got something interesting here that popped up in my news feed. A factory reset for the brain could cure anxiety and drinking behavior. Is what I've been talking about. Anti-aging. This is in this line. Gene editing may be a potential treatment for anxiety and alcohol use disorder in adults who are exposed to binge drinking in their adolescence, according to the results of an animal study published in the journal Science Advances. The study is issued by researchers from the University of Illinois, Chicago, who have been studying the effects of early life binge drinking on health later in life. In prior research, the UIC team found that binge drinking in adolescence alters brain chemistry at the enhancer region of the ARC gene. I know what that means. For activity-regulated cytoskeleton-associated protein immediate early gene, and decreases ARC expression in the amygdala of both rodents and humans. We know what this means, I'm sure. The epigenetic reprogramming of the ARC gene in the brain's emotion and memory center contributes to a predisposition to anxiety and alcohol use disorder in adulthood. So basically the claim here is that when you drink when you're young, your brain's still in development, right? And it alters your genes. Epigenetics are basically genes that have like bullshit in front of them that makes it so it alters the way genes are read and expressed by your body. right? So that's what that is, right? Yeah, you have your genes, and then you have your epigenetic stuff, like proteins and other stuff. I'm not an expert in this field. This is, just from what I've read. Proteins or other stuff like attach itself to your DNA to the point where when throughout the copying process of your DNA replicating itself, it doesn't read or can't read certain parts, and that's called epigenetics, basically. It changes the way your genes express themselves. In the new study, the researchers show that this epigenetic reprogramming, which persists throughout life, actually can be reversed with gene editing. Early binge drinking can have long-lasting and significant effects on the brain, and the results of this study offer evidence that gene editing is a potential antidote to those effects, offering a kind of factory reset for the brain, if you will, said study senior author Subhash Pandey, the Joseph A. Flaherty Endowed Professor of Psychiatry and Director of the Center for Alcohol Research in Epigenetics at UIC. So basically they go in, they clean out the muck that's on your genes, right, that's causing them to be expressed in a way that it contributes to anxiety and so forth, right? They give you that full, it's like a car wash, but for your brain. Pretty cool. I'm into this. I'm into, this is in the anti-aging category of, undoing the bad effects that life kind of does to you. And so this is super cool. Pandey and his team used a gene editing tool called CRISPR-Cas9 in their experiments to manipulate the histone acetylation and methylation process at the ARC gene in models of adult rats. These processes make genes more or less accessible for activation. First, the researchers studied adult rats with intermittent alcohol exposure in their adolescence, corresponding to about age 10 to 18 in human years. They observed that when DCAS9 was used to promote acetylation, a process that loosens chromatin and allows transcription factors to bind to the DNA, ARC gene expression normalized. Additionally, indicators of anxiety and alcohol consumption decreased. Anxiety was measured through behavioral testing, such as by documenting the exploratory activity of rats placed in maze tests, and preference for alcohol was measured by monitoring the amount of liquid consumed when the rats were present with a choice between two bottles consisting of options such as tap water, sugar water, or varying concentrations of alcohol, 3, 7, or 9%. In a second model, the researchers studied adult rats without early alcohol exposure when inhibitory DCAS9 was used to promote methylation, which tightens chromatin and prevents transcription factors from binding to DNA. That's, again, what creates epigenetical expression. I don't know if genetical is a word, but I just, I'm just trying to explain this to my fellow laymans out there. ARC expression decreased and indicators of anxiety and alcohol consumption increased. These results demonstrate that epigenomic editing in the amygdala can ameliorate adult psychopathology after adolescent alcohol exposure. I need more coffee for these words, man. Holy shit. Adolescent binge drinking is a serious public health issue, and this study not only helps us better understand what happens in our developing brains when they are exposed to high concentrations of alcohol, but more importantly, gives us hope that one day we will have effective treatments for complex and multifaceted diseases of anxiety and alcohol use disorder. I'm interested in if this could be used for post-traumatic stress disorder. That would be super interesting. It seems to work in similar lines to that as well, so I'm very interested in that. Said Pandey, who is also a senior research career scientist at Jesse Brown VA Medical Center. This guy's got 15 fucking titles. What a beast. That this effect was seen bidirectionally validates the significance of the ARC enhancer gene in the amygdala and epigenetic reprogramming from adolescent binge drinking. Co-authors of the study targeted epigenetic Editing ameliorates adult anxiety and excessive drinking after adolescent alcohol exposure are John, Peyton, Bosnack, and you can read the rest of them. So shout outs to them. That's cool. That's interesting. And just wanted to read some science to start the day off. Very cool. Very cool. My thing is, okay, so this is my, like, now post-science, now we're getting into the ranting and raving. All right. So my thing is, I'm 25. I'm going to be 26 in a couple weeks here. If anyone wants to send me birthday presents, it's an option. Just let me know. But anyway, I'm planning on just living as long as I can. I want to ride out the gene editing, anti-aging technology. I want to ride out until like organs can be grown in a lab. That's my goal. I don't know about y'all, but my goal, I think I'm relatively young. I know there's a couple younger people than me or around my age in the chat room. I wanna last until these motherfuckers are able to give me a new liver, a new brain. Like imagine like, I'm 97 years old and I've got like the body of like a fucking 19-year-old. Wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that be cool as hell? I think that that's possible. Given what I understand about science, I think that kind of stuff is possible. Anti-aging is super interesting. And so this is super cool as well. But also using epigenetics and CRISPR to basically kind of flush out the garbage and gunk that gets on your genes. I mean, again, think of it like a shower, right? Like, when you go out and dig things up and you get mud all over you, you take a fucking shower. And then you get all that shit off of you. But like, when you are exposed to certain things at a young age, like abuse, trauma, alcohol, drug use, right? It basically adds mud to your genes, right? And your body is not able to basically read the genes properly, and it gets a little mucky. Right, now imagine like, when you put whiteout on a piece of paper, right, and you put a piece of paper on a photocopy machine, when you make the photocopy, right, the photocopy is not going to have the whiteout, but it's not going to have what's under the whiteout, right? So, and it's interesting that this is just how genes work, and it's just like we're just now in 2022, we're like, in this period of time in human history, right, we are just now able to go like, oh shit, well, we can actually just kind of, knock all the muck off. We can make you a brand new gene. We can, like, that's so interesting. It's fascinating. So I'm all in on this. I think more people should study anti-aging technology. More people should be aware of it. I mean, like, chances are the capitalists will win. All the billionaires will make us slaves. Like, they'll turn us into, like, immortal slaves or something, right? Like, so we can't die, but we're also, like, stuck in steel cages doing, like, fucking, like, labor for them or some shit. Who knows? But anyway, imagine Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk if they were invincible, like, they became immortal somehow. Now, I don't know if immortality is going to be a thing. I doubt it, right? I doubt immortality is going to be a thing. Right, I think if you use anti-aging technology, you're still just as vulnerable to like a gunshot, for example. So there's got a lot of technology that would need to be developed along that. But anyway, now we're getting into the science fiction. Anyway, there you go. Bada 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 boom. That's the show. What's my star sign? I don't fucking know. I saw that the astrology fucking weirdos have like a day of the week astrology. I didn't know this. I saw this on Twitter that the fucking freaks that do astrology have like a day of the week. Like, what day of the week were you born on? And then also, like, what day of the week is your birthday on, right? Because that changes every year. Right, so like what day of the week were you born on versus what day of the week your birthday this year is on equals, maybe you should trim your toenails. I like, like what the fuck? Like who gives these motherfuckers, like, are they getting all their advice from like fucking fortune cookies? Like, I don't, like, what the fuck, man? I don't know. Immortality though, I'm into immortality. If I could live forever, I would live forever. Sometimes I think about, right, like, You know? Like, you know, what are the common traps? Like, you know, you live for 500 years and you get bored. You think I'd get bored after 500 years? I don't know, man. There's so many video games and music and movies and like, you know, like, I don't know, like, I guarantee you I would be really happy for 500 fucking years. Like, 5,000? I don't know. I mean, like, that's the thing is, you know, it's 7,022 and Andrea's still chilling, right? Like, I think by 7,022, we'll have developed some other forms of entertainment. I don't know. I think people are afraid of immortality because they're just like, I think they're beta males, and other things like that in that category of human. They're just, you know, they're afraid, you know, like, these are the motherfuckers who stayed behind. And you know, like, when they're sailing the ocean blue, you know, when Columbus is sailing the goddamn ocean blue, right? And then these are the guys who stayed behind, right? Like, y'all motherfuckers are still in England. You're getting killed by, like, the fucking Black Death or whatever the fuck. You got rats eating your eyeballs out. Right now, you wake up, fucking fast forward 600 years later, you're on Turf fucking Island. I mean, like, again, you shouldn't have stayed behind. Let's just put it that way. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. My grandpa, hello, the squirrel, by the way. Are you a new viewer? If so, welcome. My grandpa is 98 and says he's just waiting to die. His main reasoning is that he's outlived all his friends and wife. Yep. I've had recent experiences with old people giving up on life. And, you know, it's always unfortunate when you hear that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I feel like I could spend 500 years just playing Doom once. Back me up, Bodan. That's simulating our high five. Always watch your vids. Never been here live. Well, now the people always say that. Like, well, okay, I'm curious, right? Because I for me, doing YouTube, right, is like it's 90% interacting with the live stream, and then like 10% interacting with YouTube comments, and then there's also people that don't leave comments, right? So, like, for me, like, a totally invisible demographic are the people that, like, watch my clips or something. Like, I know people watch them. You know? I see that they have more than 0 views, so I'm aware that someone clicks on them. But, I don't know. I don't think about that demographic too much. But, hello, welcome. As a clip watcher, do you have any advice for me? Like, maybe, I don't know, get the clips out, like, instead of 4 days old news stories, right? I don't know. Trying to drink some goddamn coffee. Yeah, this morning, I want to talk about, this morning for me. I had a very interesting experience. Well, I mean, I've been trying to, like, over the last, like, 2 weeks, I guess, get back into some, lucid dreaming habits, techniques, rituals, whatever word, because I want to do a show on the subject, and so I want to reach my personal maximum skill level before producing the show. I don't want to go off of, like, things I learned multiple years ago. I want to refresh my memory and expand my memory in real time. So anyway, that's been a project of mine. I'm going to be honest, right? Like, a massive factor in this project is weed and alcohol use, right? That shit really fucks with your ability to sleep properly and dream properly, or at least remember your dreams. But that's a whole different story. Anyway, so last night I consumed an assortment of supplements that you know, they change the way your brain produces chemicals, right? And it you know, makes your dreams have modified effects. So anyway, last night I had a series of, like, extremely, like, for me, like, there's one supplement that really I haven't used in a while, in a couple years since last night, and I forgot, like, how interesting the effects are. But anyway, like, I had, like, such realistic dreams, right? Like where, like touching things, like touching the table was like, you know, like you can feel the slight, like, bumps in the table, like the non-flatness. I mean, this is, you know, one example. I was touching, like a kitchen table or something. It's like I was feeling all, like, the grooves in, like, the wood or whatever. And then I realized I was dreaming, and I was freaking the fuck out. Anyway, so I woke up this morning at, like, 9:30, and I haven't had my coffee yet. Like, this is my first cup. I mean, I'm kind of demolishing this cup, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's almost out. Yeah, so last night I had a very fascinating experience, and I just thought I'd want to share that with people. Maybe quicker uploads. Squirrel, how did you find the channel? I'm curious. Like, this is the new viewer interrogation. Like, you gotta sit down, right, in, like, the fucking room with that, like, fucking shaky light bulb, right, that's flashing back around. You know, and then, like, you know, you're sweating. You know, you got, like, there's, like, a fan on in the corner of the room, but it's not doing enough. It's not, you know, it's not doing enough. Like, how the fuck did you find the fucking stream? Dreamt I died and came back to life the other night. My sober dreams are way too realistic. Letter hack. If you're interested, I, like, you know, even if anyone's interested, I don't want to spoil it, though. Like, I want to wait until my dream series is set up. But, I recommend if anyone in the chat is a sober person or is doing a temporary sobriety or whatever. Me, personally, I love drugs. But anyway, I honestly would highly recommend meditating before bed. 5 minutes, right? Like, right before bed, like, turn everything off, no screens, no blue light, right? Turn everything off, like, but before you, like, fall into the bed sleeping position, right? Like, you know, laying down, before you do that, just, like, you know, sit there for a bit. Don't, like, be in a way that you're not going to fall asleep. So sitting, standing, you know, sometimes people meditate when they're standing, whatever. Do that 5 minutes before bed. 2, keep a dream journal. And I guarantee you're going to be seeing things that you couldn't even see when you were doing drugs. Like, I personally feel like the dream world is another dimension. That is extremely understudied, discussed in society. And so, but then if you want to do, like, there's a lot of herbs, right? Like, you know, herbs, supplements and stuff that you can do to expand your dream, like, capabilities, right? And, like, I know a lot of people are a little skeptical of supplements and stuff, but, like, a lot of these are just herbs that you can find growing through a crack in a sidewalk, right? You could grow it yourself. But also, like, again, there's no, like, psychoactive, like, in waking life. Like, that's the thing that's so interesting to me. Is that there's no, like, for a lot of these supplements, there's no psychoactive effect in waking life, but when you're sleeping, there's an extreme psychoactive effect. Like, that's such a unique class of substance to me that I don't know why people, like, why am I the only one that talks about this shit? How come I don't see people, like, in fucking movies or on television talking about this? Why don't I see people talking about this, like anywhere else? I don't know, man. Like, anyway, I highly recommend Salea Zakatachichi. If you want to go on the more supplement side, I recommend galantamine. You can pick this stuff up, and, like, you know, if you want a dosing guide, this is the stuff I'm working on for a show. But if you want to do it early, you know, just, I don't know, hit me up or whatever, but be safe and look into it and all that. But, man, that shit's crazy. Like, last night was crazy. last night was fucking crazy for me. But again, a lot, like, I don't know, alcohol fucks with your sleep, right? And it makes it so your dreams are shit, and it makes it so that your slow wave sleep is shit, so your muscles and body don't recover properly. But I also know that marijuana, it affects your short-term memory, which is like the biggest component of your dreams in REM sleep, right? So now I still dream when I'm high, but like it's a whole different world when you're like completely sober, right? When you're not doing fucking like dabs every day like I am because I'm a freak show. Man, that's a whole world. It's a whole world, let me tell you. Anyway, enough of that. Unless people want me to continue going. And it's suggested, you found me in suggested under a Dear Mr. Atheist vid. What is Dear Mr. Atheist? I'm an atheist. Is Jimmy Snow? Is this Dear Mr. Atheist? This is the only thing that pops up. Never heard of them? Courtney, my plan for this series is right now I've got 15 episodic installations. I'm going to do the first one either a week or maybe 2 weeks before the next 14. And that one is going to have the list. But I can just give you the list now if you want. But anyway, the next 14 are going to be pre-recorded premieres, like Cooking with a Bitch, like that style of production. And I'm going to air one every single day for 14 days, 2 weeks. That's the goal. Because my opinion is building a habit. Doing it daily is the most important aspect of all of it. And so that's going to be how I'm planning on doing it. But again, I want to wait until I reach the peak of my personal, I don't want to go off of like, because I did a lot of this studying for it like many years ago. And I don't want to like go off of old information. I want to be up to date on every method, tactic, dosage, routine. I want to be up to date on everything before I do it. Just to be, I want it to be like something that's like a long lasting, something I can point to for like, multiple years and say, go check that out. Like imagine I'm sitting on the stream, right? It's fucking 2023, right? This is going to be me in 2023. This is going to be me. Okay, so I'm going to be looking like this. I'm going to be like, this is me in 2023. Okay, check this out. Someone comes in, they're like, ooh, ooh, right? Like that's what they say. And then I go, stop, right? You got to go watch my lucid dreaming show. I did it last year. That's going to be me in 2023. Just a little time travel for you. Just showing off a little time travel. Because I'm a time traveler. But actually, I'm not actually in 2023 right now. I'm still in 2022. Can you believe it? So, anyway, let me read some more, or let me fucking drink some more of this coffee. Today's show is, I guess, going to be a little bit on the weird angle. This is not like, this is going to be one of those shows where I don't really cover too much news. Yeah, this is fucked up. But yeah, I like one of these days maybe I'll write a book about it. But like, I think the brain, I think the mind, the realm of the brain, I think is the most incredible thing in the world. Like to me, like when people talk to me and they say like, "Oh, I don't even dream." Like to me, it's like, are you even a human being? Like I don't know, like. I'm not trying to be like, weird about it, but like motherfuckers would be like, oh, I never remember my dreams. The last time I remember my dream was when I was 6 years old. It's like, are you a dog? Like, are you, like, I mean, my dog has nightmares all the time, so my dog dreams. Like, what are you? Like, are you like a fucking horse? Like, are you like a subhuman creature? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. People really need to hack into their own brains. I feel like we're all too much in everyone else's shit and not nearly enough in our own shit. I almost never dream that I smoke a ton of weed. Same. So my thing with like learning to explore the dream world and also being a frequent weed user, right? Like it's, you know, it's a struggle. But my thing is, if you learn the skill doesn't go away. It's like learning how to ride a bike. At least I've never ridden a bike. I don't know how to ride a bike, but that's what people tell me. Like, you know, they could pick up a bike like 20 years later and know how to ride it. But anyway, like, so if you learn the skill, if you spend like 3 to 6 months learning a skill like this, and then you go back to like smoking weed every day, I guarantee you your quality of life will be significantly improved. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. In my opinion, what I want to do for my course or class, whatever you want to call it, I don't know. But what I want to do is I want to put as much information in a 2-week period as I possibly can. Right? So that's kind of like, that's my thing, is I want to teach as many things as possible in a short period, because I know a lot of people don't have a lot of time to commit. Like, you know, the idea of committing a month to a project like that is, I know for a lot of people would be difficult, but I feel like 2 weeks, I feel like almost anyone, if they have even a remote interest, can sit down and watch like a 10-minute video and like, you know, do a couple more things before bed for 2 weeks straight. And I think that people, personally, and I'm sounding a little bit like a fucking crazy person, but I genuinely think that it's going to increase your IQ. I think it's going to make you much happier with yourself, with your life. I think it's going to make you feel like you've been missing out. I'm not even lying to you. You can't smoke and engage in... You can, it's just that it's like they work against each other, right? Like REM sleep, where dreaming is concerned, right? REM sleep is where that happens. Cannabis fucks with your short-term memory. REM sleep is mostly short-term memory, right? So if you're doing like edibles and you fall asleep, you're not going to, you know, your dreams are going to be very low quality. Like if you like smoke in the morning... Right, like this is my routine. When I was learning how to lucid dream, what I would do is I would get really high in the morning and I would just ride it out the whole day. And by the time I go to sleep, I'm like, you know, maybe at a 2 out of 10. So like I'd get fucked up, like a 10 out of 10, right, at like 9 a.m., 8 a.m., whenever I wake up, and just ride it out until the day's over. That way you get to spend your day being high. And then by the time you get to sleep, you know, most of that is out of your system. When I would trip daily, I trained myself to eventually see my entire self in my dreams. That's very interesting. For me, right, like, this is a big test that I would recommend if you're doing dream stuff. But like, looking in a mirror in your dream, if you can look in a mirror in your dream and see yourself, I mean, that is, like, I know it sounds basic, but one of the ways a lot of people experience nightmares or having their dreams fall apart is by like looking in a mirror, looking through a window, looking on a phone screen, because typically dreams are all kinds of fucked up. And so your brain is more likely to have processing issues if you try to overload your brain with sensory information, right? So, but yeah, I like mirrors in dream, like mirrors when you're fucking tripping. That's a whole different experience. I remember a couple weeks ago, I was doing mushrooms and I looked in the mirror, and you know, it's something I do every once in a while. I don't have like a necessary, like I know a lot of people say never look in the mirror or else, you know, and so, but like, you know, for me, every once in a while, check myself out. I mean, like, you know, I'm nice to look at. Like, let's be honest, right? Like, imagine, like, for me, I'm looking at myself right now in the webcam, and I'm like, oh, that's me. When I'm on drugs, I don't even know that that's me. I'm just seeing some hot ass bitch in the mirror. I'm like, okay, all right. How you doing, right? So anyway, but that shit can be crazy. I mean, it's crazy. I don't know. My bathroom, for better or for worse, has 2 mirrors in it. Maybe I'll take a picture of this, but my bathroom has so it's got the sink here. It's got like a mirror here, right in front of the sink, right? But then it's got like another mirror right here, right? So the 2 mirrors are like in a corner right here. I don't know why it's like that, but anyway, that's how my bathroom is. So I've got 2 mirrors, and they kind of like look at each other. So anyway, I got lost in the mirrors a couple of weeks ago. I don't know. I was probably there for like 2 minutes in the real world, but like in my brain, I was lost in the mirrors. Because the parts of the mirror are showing the other parts of the mirror, and so then I was seeing my face, right, and then I was seeing like the side of my head, right, and my face, and then I was seeing it was very interesting, and there you go. But anyway, is there a technique? Yeah, there's many. I would say the number 1 technique is using a dream journal in the morning. If you just write everything down as soon as you wake up, that is the number 1. Everything else is downstream from that. Like, if I would say, like, the number 1 most important is to have paper and pencil. I don't recommend using a cell phone for a dream journal. Tactile buttons, they don't work as well for memory. Writing something down, right, because every stroke is a different letter, like in your brain. I know it seems like it's a nothing difference, and writing on your phone is better than nothing, right? But I'm just saying, like, pen and paper, pencil and whatever is significantly better, because when you're writing something down, the number 1 thing is you don't have blue light. Now I have a blue light filter on my phone, but still, like, if you have blue light, that's gonna fuck you up. That causes your brain to like immediately go into I'm awake mode, I'm in the outside world mode, and then you start to lose your dreams a lot faster. So I recommend staying away from blue light as long as possible when you write shit down. One of the biggest improvements in the amount of sleep and REM sleep I get was temperature. I've also tried taking magnesium before bed and no bright lights for a few hours before bed. Magnesium before bed, this is something I personally have not tried yet. When I studied lucid dreaming for several months over the course of 2020, because, when the pandemic started, I was like, oh, let me try to learn a couple things. I'm going to be, my life is over. I'm stuck in my house, right? Let me try to learn a couple things. Anyway, I was not exposed to the concept of magnesium in that stint. But since then, a lot of people have suggested magnesium before bed. I've looked into it a little bit. I have not experimented with magnesium yet. I would say I have experimented with vitamin B6. Vitamin B6, if you eat whatever you eat for dinner, if you make sure it has like above average levels of vitamin B6, that's going to affect your dreams in a positive way. For me, I found that nutritional yeast has a pretty good vitamin B6 content. So I don't know if y'all know about nutritional yeast, but for whatever I eat for dinner, I try to put a little bit of nutritional yeast on that, increase my B6. I mean, the nutritional yeast has a lot of shit in it, but I'm after the B6. But I'm sure there's other stuff like, you can also just take a supplement tablet, right? But, that's the least effective method. But, Yep, we're turning this episode of the show into a fuck show. I was going to talk about, apparently, like, Joe Biden wants to do more cop stuff. I'm not going to. I don't feel like it. Let's just chill. Let's just fucking chill. It's Friday, motherfucker. Let's chill, okay? Like, let's just have a good time. It's goddamn weekend. Yeah! My yeast is not nutritional. I feel that. Always have the blue light filter on at night. I have my blue light filter on my phone on all the time. Like, to me, I find the change between blue light and the filter is so jarring, right, that I just have it on all the time. Like, I'd rather not see blue light on anything on my phone, ever, than have to turn it on and off. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, like, looking at fucking art on my phone. I'm not watching, like, I know some people, right, like they like their, like, they watch shows on their phones. Like, I have a TV, right? Well, I don't have a TV. I have my monitor for my computer, but I use it as a TV. I don't, like, when I use my phone, it's like texting, or, you know, if I'm outside and I look something up. I'm not, like, looking at fucking, like, you know, paintings and shit on my phone. I don't need blue light on my goddamn phone. Like, unless you are, like, you know, but I don't. So I have that shit on all the time. I don't need blue light on my phone. Get enough as it is. I noticed if my body is physically stressed, I'd get less REM and more deep sleep. So the magnesium and maybe a hot bath with some lavender. I don't know about lavender. Some people have recommended lavender, but I mean, on the upside to crypto tanking being Eric Adams getting owned. I mean, he's fine. I mean, like, sure, he's owned, but he's fine. Have you ever had a dream that made you happy and sad at the same time? Absolutely. Yeah, I know some people, like, they would prefer to, like, look at, like, some people, like, prefer to use a phone instead of a computer, right? Like, they'll sit there and, like, look at their phone for, like, 6 hours straight, and, like, that's just, like, for me, if I'm going to be doing internet time, right, if I'm going to be, like, looking things up online, if I'm, you know, it's whatever time, you know, I'm going to use my computer. But that's just me, right? Like, you know, not everyone is like that. All right, y'all. Let's do a movie review, at the very least. Y'all don't know how much I really enjoy talking about 1, drugs, 2, science, 3, the spirit world, 4, the dream world. This is all my shit. This is my shit. So, you know, I'm going to teach everyone everything I know, and I want other people to teach me in return. You know, it's like I teach you, and then you teach me. Goddamn spirit world. That's right. Anyway, let's talk about movies. So last night, I stayed up late. I consumed multiple cannabis products and watched a film. This is a filmographic experimental review of The Butterfly Effect. So this is what I watched last night. You know, I was thinking to myself, should I go to bed like an adult, or should I stay up and watch movies like a child, and do drugs like a child? So I decided to watch a movie, and so we watched the goddamn Butterfly Effect, and so this is a good movie. Now, it's very cheesy, right? Like, like, there's a lot of really silly moments, but if you can get past that, I think the story is really good. I like the story. So, so first of all, this is a movie that's like, can you really spoil it? Like, I don't know, like, can you spoil it? Like, what is the spoiler? Oh, he goes back in time and changes something, and then he has a negative result. Spoiled! You can't really spoil this, right? Like, you know, you gotta watch it. So anyway, the movie, like, the construction of this film, like, storytelling in cinema angle, right? Like, I think is really good. You know, like, the first, like, 20, 30 minutes of the movie are, like, the setup to the story, right? Like, it shows throughout his childhood, the main character's childhood, like several moments in his childhood, and then like that's like the first 20-30 minutes of the movie, and I'm thinking like isn't Ashton Kutcher on the box art? Like where the fuck is this guy? I'm just watching like a fucking like Malcolm in the Middle episode. What's going on? And then Ashton Kutcher comes out 30 minutes in, about goddamn time, right? But anyway, and so the movie's good. So anyway, one of my favorite parts about this movie is the main character's father being in the, the psych ward or whatever. And then he, like himself, the main character, goes there later in the movie. I think that that's super interesting. I love the concept of time travel, right? I've been watching a lot of time travel movies lately. And every time I watch a time travel movie, right, there's always like the suggestions, right? And so I'm just like I'm a victim of the algorithm right now. Like every streaming service I use has suggestions. Oh, you recently watched this. Here's some other fucking time travel movies. So I'm just going through the list. But anyway, so he's got an ability to go back in time to relive certain traumatic memories. And in order to go back in time to relive certain traumatic memories, he has to re-traumatize himself. And that's and to me, that concept, really awesome. That's an awesome concept, right? Using trauma, as a plot device, interesting, right? But tying it to time travel, also interesting, right? And so he realizes this. So then the movie turns into he uses his journals as a vehicle to re-traumatize himself. So he reads 6-year-old him or 8-year-old him writing some a memory down. He reads it as an adult. And Primer, by the way, Kyle in the chat, have I seen Primer? Primer is phenomenal. Absolutely amazing. But anyway, but yes, I've seen it. So he re-traumatizes himself. He reads his old journals. It triggers the memory in his brain. And then he goes back in time to fix it. And then he wakes back up as an adult, right? And the world is different, right? So, the whole point is that you make one small adjustment back in time and the whole world changes as a result. That's the point of the butterfly effect. It's you don't know. If I could, right? I could wear the red orange glasses, but instead of wearing the blue ones, what is the effect of that decision, right? If you believe in the many worlds theory of quantum mechanics, right? There is another universe where I've got the orange-red sunglasses on, right? And in that universe, right, this is the everything else is the same until this moment where I decide to wear these, right? And now we're in the branching universes, right? Who knows what is different, right? People watching my live stream, right, seeing blue instead of orange or red, they might, undergo some sort of stimuli to change, who knows. Anyway, so that's the butterfly effect. As a theory. Anyway, so he goes back in time, changes a couple things. He's basically, what his goal is, the main character, is he's trying to help his friends not turn into drug addicts, prostitutes, and kill themselves, right? He wakes up in a timeline. Whoops, his childhood friend killed herself. Whoops, she's a drug addict. Whoops, she's a prostitute. Whatever. So he goes back in time to try to change that. And every time he does, he fucks something up even more. He goes back. And then eventually, my favorite part was when he wakes up in the psych ward. Now, again, this movie, it's cheesy, right? The acting is not great, right? But you know what? You got to look past the acting. I don't know. People are a little bit too critical of movies where the acting suffers, right? Just because the acting isn't phenomenal, just because Ashton Kutcher's a goofball, doesn't mean that the writing of the movie all of a sudden suffers. You know what I mean? I think the concept is cool. So anyway, eventually he finds out that he made so many mistakes that he wakes up in the psych ward just like his dad. And that's my favorite part of the movie. My favorite part of the movie was when he has the memory of visiting his father as a young child, and his father's trying to kill him because his father realized that his son has the butterfly effect capability. And his father is well, I'm in the psych ward, so I'm fucked. But if my kid's not in the psych ward and they're going out there and changing timelines, I gotta kill my kid. Otherwise, I'm gonna, who knows what's gonna happen, right? So anyway, that's my favorite part of the movie is when he wakes up in the psych ward and then the doctor's like, oh, this is all, You're making up a fantasy world. You never had any journals, bro. Like, you're crazy. And then he comes up with another, like, Band-Aid solution to trigger a traumatic memory or something. Doesn't really make any sense. I'm not gonna lie. The ending didn't really make any sense. Because, like, the whole point of the movie is that, like, he has blackouts as a kid, and that's, like, the time travel occurrences, right? He represses the memories and then re-traumatizes himself as an adult, and then remembers the blackout periods, and that's where he changes things. But, like, the ending didn't really make any sense because he's at, like, a party. He watches, like, a movie, like, a home video, and there's, like, no blackout there. I don't know. But anyway, but then he travels back in time and fixes everything, essentially, and it's a happy ending. But anyway, I think the movie was good. Like, yeah, like, is it perfect? Is it great? Is it like the, time travel gold standard of cinema? No. And it doesn't need to be. It's fun to watch. I love like, the drama is cool, right? I love, like, every time you go back and forth in the time period. I love kind of, like, picking out all the changes, right? One of my favorite things about movies like this to do, like, a lot of time travel, right? Like, a lot of movies, right, like, time travel movies will have, like, time travel as an element, but they don't go back and forward many times, you know what I mean? And so, but this one, like, they go back and forth. Like, there's, like, like 7 or 8 cycles or some shit. And, so it's like every time he goes back into the kid version, right, it's like you focus on every piece of dialogue, every action he takes, and then, like, it's like a puzzle. Like, oh, you predict, like, okay, so he moves to the left here, how's that going to affect that, and it's fun, like, I don't know, I would describe this movie as fun. It's not, like, anything too seriously, it's whatever, it's fun. I know that there's sequels, maybe I'll watch the sequels, I don't know, But it was fun. I enjoyed it. It was enjoyable. I thought that the core concept of using trauma to initiate time travel of some kind is interesting. It's also like a drug, right? He gets addicted to the concept of, like, go back, you make one small change, right? You go back and you're good to go, right? And then, like, it's addictive, right? To have that ability where you can, like, just, like, do experiments, right? Like, in one time run, like, he ends up killing someone because he's crazy a little bit, and goes to jail, and then he, like, re-traumatizes himself and then wakes back up and he's not in jail, right? Like, I think that that's super interesting. It's a good concept, right? But then you don't want to fly too close to the sun. What if you wake up in the psych ward again and you're fucked? Anyway, good movie. It's a fun movie. I recommend it. I don't know about the sequels. It's possible that those are okay. But there you go. That's Ashton Kutcher starring in The Butterfly Effect. I thought it was fun. It was a fun movie. And I would recommend. If you like time travel, I'd recommend it. Don't take it too seriously, but because, if you take it too seriously, the story falls apart instantly. But as long as you have that right level of skepticism, you can enjoy the film. It's enjoyable, and that's all you really need. Have you seen Time Crimes? I have not. Time Crimes? Spanish film, HBO Max. Los Cronocrímenes, a.k.a. Time Crimes. A man accidentally gets into a time machine and travels back in time nearly an hour, finding himself will be the first... Okay. Alright. Interesting. I'm in. I'll add that to my list. I will love it. Hell yeah. When is the free will debate with Milo scheduled? I'd love to debate free will, which I still don't believe in. That's my thing. I've been watching a lot of movies lately. I've probably watched more movies in, like, the last 2 years than I've watched in my entire life combined up until that point, And I have to say, I'm the same way with video games, where it's like, I like bad video, like a video game that people would think, oh, this is bad. I like it, right? Like something, like I don't put the world in these binaries. Something is either good or bad, right? Like a movie can have parts of it, like the acting or like some parts of the story that really are just like, huh? right? And then other parts of the movie can still be valuable and enjoyable, and the overall experience can still be entertaining. And then also, like, there's movies like, there's so bad it's good kind of movies, right? That movies that are like so terrible, so utterly like lacking in any redeeming value that they become masterpieces in their own right. Like I'm thinking of something like Birdemic or something. But like, like I love things that are like, I don't think that there's good or bad. I think all art is like, I don't know. I think art in and of itself has a value that bad is, I don't know. Like, is there really any such thing as bad art? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. It depends. Like, I mean, ultimately it boils down to like, we all have limited amounts of time. We don't want to waste our limited amounts of time on something that we would view as bad, right? But then we spend all this amount of time like carrying with us these lists of things that are bad and good, and I don't know. I say fuck the binary. There's no such thing as a bad movie. Everything has value. Have you seen the series Undone? I've never heard of it. Yeah, I'm very into, a lot of people may not know this, but I'm also very into bad video games. I think bad video games are amazing. I really do. Right? Because, like, think about, like, a movie, right? Like, for someone to produce a movie, right, it requires time and effort, and that alone I respect, right? Like, in the same way, someone designing a video game, it takes so much time and effort to design a video game, even if the result is not so great, it can still be a worthwhile experience. Like, I mean, like, I don't like, and then there's also like, people can make a bad movie, but they learn something about making movies, right? Like someone makes a really shitty movie, and then, their seventh movie, all the lessons that they've learned, their seventh movie's a masterpiece. I mean, like, look at, my favorite video game is Doom, right? But, like, you look at id Software, the developers of Doom. Doom is, like, their fucking 40th or 50th video game, right? They made, like, 50 fucking, like, I don't even know. They made, like, id Software made a fuckload of games before Doom. Right? And a lot of those games were garbage. A lot of them were absolute and utter trash. Right? But like, they served as a vehicle for the artists to develop how to make video games, and eventually they made a masterpiece, right? So for me, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people are intimidated by the concept of failing, and so much so that they don't even try. My opinion is, if you want to make a movie, even if it's your first movie, if you want to do anything, write a fucking song, whatever, if your first one, probably not going to be good, right? But like, your 48th one might be a masterpiece, right? So my opinion, as an artist, it's okay to fail. In the same way that this episode of Above It All could be a good one, might not be one of my best, who knows? Right, but it's going to put me into, now it's a new world. I've learned more about how to speak to people online. And now tomorrow, who knows? Or maybe like 6 months from now, I'll have learned a lesson from this show and I'll produce like a banger ep, That's my opinion. So in that regard, like, yeah, movies can have bad aspects to them. Movies can just be bad, right? But that doesn't make, everything has value in it. So As an art instructor, I always advise that creating is just practice for the next project. Absolutely. That's why I try to do a daily show. Like, yeah, is every day's episode going to be great? Am I going to nail every point every time? Am I going to create the most profound, like, argument in every, clip of every news story that I cover? No. Right? But sometimes, every once in a while, I'm on a roll. And then boom. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm all about failing. I mean, I fail on a daily basis. I fail on a goddamn fucking daily basis. But you know what they say, right? You know about they? Does anyone know about they? So you know what they say is that the master has failed more times than the novice has tried. That's what they say. And I think that that's true. In order to get really good at something, you got to have a lot of failing. Otherwise, how do you know what to avoid? If you don't fail, if you don't flop, if you don't fuck it up, how do you learn what not to do the next time? Little wisdom. Got words of wisdom on this fucking program. Reshape your goddamn life. I'm out of coffee. I have drank an entire cup of coffee, and I feel no effect. I'm losing it, y'all. I am in another world. Do I watch Central Committee? I don't watch anything. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't watch anything. The only podcast I used to watch, with any consistency, was Majority Report, but I don't watch that anymore. I just don't have. I've started so many fucking projects. I can't keep up with a 3-hour podcast or a 2-hour show or anything. I'll watch a clip here and there. I'm definitely a clip peruser more so than I was. I love watching full shows. I think that's cool, but I don't have time for that anymore. I've got, I know a lot of people might not know this, and probably because I don't tell anyone anything about my personal life because it's mine, bitch. But anyway, I've started over the last couple of months a lot of creative processes. New projects that some will maybe be public, some will turn into something that I will show people. Some may or may not. But I have been undergoing a lot of projects. And I'll talk about them more in the future, maybe. I'll talk about them more in the future, I guess, but I don't really feel I'd rather watch a movie than a podcast. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's also because all podcasts that I would watch are news, right? And I read the news every day already, right? So what does it do? I'd rather watch a movie than watch someone else read the same news and say the same thing that I said but worse, because every show is worse than mine. Fucking someone read the same article I read and then made a worse point. Wow. Well, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm being a little silly here. But yeah, I don't know. I've also been getting back into speedrunning. And so, the other day I uploaded a Yu-Gi-Oh! Speedrun to the YouTube channel. My computer is fucking so slow today. I don't know why that is, but anyway, coming up on my channel in 47 minutes is going to be another Yu-Gi-Oh! Speedrun. I've taken it upon myself to speedrun every pre-GX Yu-Gi-Oh! Game. So, I'm going in. So that's happening. Tune in if you'd like. I will be doing more Doom very soon. It's just gotta be in the right. I gotta be in the right mood. I don't know. That's a whole different thing. Factory reset my computer. Yes, I'm gonna factory reset my computer. That's a great idea. All right, so that's pretty much my show for today, though. I mean, I don't know. I took a chill. Today's a chill day. I'm allowed to be chill. Look at me. Hold up. Look at me. Look at this. Look at that. Yeah. Yeah! I'm chill as fuck. Anyway. Do I talk local politics? Go watch any of my shows from last year. Last year, I got very engaged in local politics. And spent about 8 months semi-exclusively covering local stuff. But as of this moment right now, I am not as involved in local stuff. I subbed here for political and cooking with the bitch. Everything else is not my cup of coffee. Well, I hope your cup of coffee is looking better than my cup of coffee, which is to say I'm out of coffee. And also, fuck you for having the wrong opinion. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's my show. Hopefully Donald James X is okay with the philosophical rambling as well as political and cooking. I think more people... I think one of the core issues with people is that in political spaces... I think one of the big issues with politics people is they get their head inside of a world that is designed to beat them senseless, right? Like politics will drive you crazy. Like if you engage in politics, you are going to go crazy, right? Like that is, right? And so, I mean, you see that with like a lot of things online, right? Like online is like you get to look behind the curtain of insanity. Like instead of keeping their insanity to themselves, like people just wear it on their sleeve, right? Like, you know, when you get involved in politics and that's like your main obsession, you go insane. And so I feel like people that are involved in politics need to have other things to talk about. You know, and I think more people need to talk about the human experience. I don't know, man. Me personally, I'm a human first and foremost before I'm anything else, right? I'm a human being. So, like for me, right, like I think that everything else stems from that core thing is that I'm a human goddamn being. But, you know, like again, people go crazy in media bubbles, in politics bubbles. Like, you're an earthling first. I have no attachment to Earth. I mean, like, I'm attached to Earth in the sense that I live here and I love the planet and I love the diverse ecosystems that this planet has to offer. I mean, it's a great planet. I love Earth, but I'm a human before I'm an earthling. I'm going to be honest. Like, I personally am not convinced that life started on Earth, right? I think the theory of panspermia has some weight to it. Personally, that's just my opinion. You know, And I'm not like, you know, I'm like 51-49 on this, right? Like, this is not something that I'm like a diehard, like, yeah, if you don't believe in this, you're a dumbass, right? I'm like a 51% to 49% on this. But personally, I think other planets, I would be fine if, like, we terraform Venus, Mars, Titan, Europa, Io, anything like that in our solar system, and we live there. I think that it could be just as fruitful, if not more or less. You know, I have no attachment to Earth other than the fact that this is where I live, and and again, Earth is great. Like, I love Earth. Don't get me wrong, but if I have the option. Like, let's say if we terraform Titan in my lifetime, I'll go to fucking Titan. I'm a huge Titan fan. I wrote an essay about Titan when I was in 4th grade. I'm a huge Titan fan. Big on Titan. Big on Titan. I love Titan. Speaking of animals, Maxie! Where's my dog? Maxie, come here! Max! That's right, buddy. See, this is what the Earth has to offer. Max! Max, look at him. This dog would not leave me the fuck alone this morning. I was having my terror dreams, and he was licking me in my sleep, and that was scary. Come on, Maxie, uppy! Oh, you're climbing. You're a good climber. Look at this dog. I mean, you can't see this dog. He's licking my foot now. For whatever reason, Max really loves licking my feet. I don't like it, honestly, but like sometimes, like in the middle of the night, like Max likes to sleep at the foot side of the bed. And sometimes in the middle of the night, I wake up to this motherfucker licking my big toe, and I'm like, Max, what the fuck? What the fuck? But I don't know. Wouldn't you still be an Earthling, though? Maybe. I mean, my opinion on being an Earthling is the same, is like, in the same way, I don't identify as an American, really. Like, I have I have an attachment to the American people, maybe. Like, people that live here in America. But I have no attachment to America. Right, like if the government that I live under like just changed, and it was a new government, and assuming it's the same or better, or I have no attachment to that kind of stuff. But y'all motherfuckers with your fan fictions in the chat. Goddamn foul creatures. Anyway, that's going to be my show for today. I have to use the urination station. So this is kind of where we're at right now. The Earth is a real thing. That is true. That's factual. People wearing Snuggies. I will never... One of these days, I'm going to do stand-up, and I'm going to bring out the Snuggie bit, and everyone's going to be like, what? And then I'm going to realize that there's only like 27 people in the world that actually think I'm funny, and that everyone else thinks I'm an idiot. But anyway, that's the show. Thank you for watching. We had a little bit of a bizarre show today. A little bit of a fun show, but that's cool. Every once in a while we need like a a reset, in my opinion. But anyway, that's it. That's all I got. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Y'all try your best to have a good day, and I will see y'all later.
Dub is a shit fuck, cringe tour, etc., etc.
That will enhance our underlying effort to accommodate the Russian oligarchs and make sure we take their ill-begotten gains. We're going to accommodate them. We're going to seize their yachts, their luxury homes, and other ill-begotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy. Kleptocracy. The guys who are the kleptocracy. But these are bad guys.
And this country needs a strong Republican Party, and we do. I mean, the fossil fuel industry, they weigh in so significantly. I mean, how could it be? I mean the fossil fuel industry. I mean the fossil fuel industry. They weigh in. They weigh in so significantly. I mean, how could it be?
The world is actually a small piece of the universe, right? The world is actually a small piece of the universe, right?
I eat extra sharp. That's what I eat.